What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing a video that I've actually wanted to do for so freaking long. Like, this has been something on my list of videos to do since probably since I started my YouTube. But I honestly just never really got around to doing it. I've also been playing a lot with my tanning routine, which is what this video is about. For the spring and summer, I have gotten into a tanning routine that I have been loving. The products that I've been using, I have been loving. So I thought I would just share it with you guys because actually a lot of people ask me what I do for my tan, and I think that self-tanning, if you've never done it before, is a little bit daunting because it can go south very easily if you don't know the inside deets, you know? Because when you get a tanning mousse, yeah, they say use a mitt, let it sit for 6 hours and wash it off and you'll be good to go. But there's so many more things that are really good to know, and I think almost imperative. You can't not know these things if you want to tan on a regular basis. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about number one, applying, maintaining, and removing the tan. I'm gonna show you all of that good stuff, as well as a product review of the, let me just grab them, the Bali Body self-tanning mousses. So I got the ultra dark and dark, and it was my first time using these. I got them a few weeks ago, but I did want to try them out and see how they lasted on my skin rather than a first impressions. So I'm going to tell you all about this, whether they're worth it or not. It's going to be kind of a long one because I'm really going in depth, but I'm assuming that if you're here, if you're watching this video, it's because you want to know how to tan. So I promise all these tips are my ride or dies. Trust me, I've been self-tanning for, I don't know, 6 years. I have not gone to a tanning bed, to a spray tan in, I would say, probably 3 years, because I just do it myself and it's cheaper. It's just so much better and more convenient. And yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so step one is you're prepping, okay? Prepping before you tan is everything, everything. You cannot just go in the shower, use your usual washing system, get out of the shower and tan. There are things you need to do in the shower. You need to do, some shit is gonna be going down in the shower before you tan. So you want to be obviously shaved everywhere that you're gonna be tanned. However, over the years, I've found that shaving my legs right before I'm going to apply a tan isn't really ideal, because when you're freshly shaved, your pores are kind of open. And so when you get, those little dark spots on your legs, especially your calf area, that will be accentuated when you add the tan. So the tan will literally seep in your hair follicles, which is no fun. So what I do to avoid that, I will shave either the day before or a couple days before I'm going to tan, so that it doesn't seep into the hair follicles, but you're still shaved, So number two is the type of soap that you use. It is super important to not be using anything, ideally anything that's moisturizing. So on a regular basis, I will use the Dove liquid, moisturizing, almost the cream body wash. I'll put it on the screen right now, but that's what I use on a regular basis because I do like a moisturizing body wash. However, the shower before I apply my tan, I will use just a plain white bar soap. Specifically, I just use the Dove Original, and that works so well because we'll leave it just bare, no moisture barrier, nothing like that, so that your tan will soak up as much as possible and it will last as long as possible. Because when your skin is moisturized, the less likely the tan will have anything to grip onto, right? So you want kind of a dry, bare base for your tan to grip onto. So I have a couple tools that I use in the shower. The first one, that sounds weird. I have a couple tanning tools. The one that I use before applying my tan, my first layer, is this exfoliating brush. So I have this in my shower and I basically just use it. I put a little bit of the Dove bar soap on there, and I'll just scrub everywhere, anywhere where I feel has some leftover tan or anything like that, either way, whether I don't have tan or I do have tan on that I'm trying to scrub off for a fresh layer, I will use this. So any kind of like exfoliating mitt, I like this one because it's softer but it's still enough to remove any of the dead skin cells. So yes, you can find this like Amazon, pharmacy, dollar store, anything like that. One thing that's super important that I often hear about people tanning is they get really orange around their wrist, their hand area, their elbows, their knees, all of those like joints get really orange and dark. And that's because naturally your feet, your ankles, your knees, your elbows, your hands are drier than other places on your body. So they will grip on to the tan way faster and way more intensely. The number one thing that everyone says to do before applying your tan is to moisturize those joint areas. So my favorite moisturizer to use is the Vaseline the Vaseline Intensive Care Dry Skin Repair. That's really hard to say. Vaseline Intensive Care Dry Skin Repair moisturizer. Nothing special, nothing fancy. It just does the job. It is really like creamy and nice and thick, which I love, but it also soaks up really fast and doesn't have like kind of like a film of greasiness when you apply it, which you obviously don't want. I apply this on my elbows, knee, ankle, foot. Okay, so these two spots are gonna sound really weird to say, but number one, these are things that like people overlook, but you just need to know. Like you need to know these things if you want to tan, because you're gonna find yourself like there and you're gonna be like, why is that like that? Well, I got you, girl. Like I will tell you right now, you gotta moisturize in between your toes. Like you just gotta moisturize in between your toes. I'm sorry. It's weird, I know, but if you're applying your tan everywhere, if you're applying it on your feet, in between your toes, just like in between your fingers, they are extremely dry. So if you apply your tan on your feet and your toes and you don't moisturize in between your toes, you're gonna have dark spots and it's gonna look hella weird. So just telling you, moisturize in between your toes, okay? Another weird place that you need to moisturize that often is overlooked is right like here on your, not your armpit, but right where your arm meets your body and like your chest. Why? Because often there's a lot of friction going on because you're moving your arms a lot, right? So I have found that moisturizing that area avoids like patchiness. That is another place that I moisturize that you wouldn't think to, but you should. Okay, so onto the actual tanning. I'm gonna talk about my favorite tanners. So I have used literally, you name it, any tanner in the book. I've used it all. I've seen it all, okay? My first like official tanner was Loving Tan. So bomb, like so bomb. Honestly, that's probably the top one. But downside, it is expensive. It's from Australia, I think, so it takes forever to ship. It's expensive to ship. So it's just inconvenient, you know? Like I don't wanna wait 2 weeks to get my tan. I wanna have it on deck whenever I will need it. Loving Tan is a 10 out of 10 in terms of actual product, but it is expensive and it takes forever to ship. I've used Bondi Sands. Bondi Sands is amazing. I love Bondi Sands. I've been using it. I think that was the one that I used for the longest. I used it for like 2-3 years straight. I used the Ultra Dark and I absolutely love it. So I wanted to switch it up, just test out a new product. And that is when I decided to try out the Bali Body self-tanning mousses. So like I said, I got the dark and the Ultra Dark. You guys, wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. It is just the perfect mix of olive, red tones. It's not too much. You guys know, like I'm pretty pale when I'm not tan. So it just like, I can't have something that's too green tone, like too olivey toned. And I also can't have something that's too orange because it just doesn't look natural on me. And this is just the perfect like brown shade, you know, like it's just a nice bronze color. I will say that I'm just really used to using the ultra dark for every single tanner that I use. So when I tried the dark on its own, I was like, it's a nice like tan. I love the color, but it just like wasn't enough for me. So I do see myself using this either in the winter when like I don't want it to be too dark, or just like as a touch-up. So on top of my ultra dark, maybe 3-4 days after I first apply it and I just want like a touch-up, I will apply the dark. The ultra dark, it's just unbeatable. You guys, if you try this and it's your first time tanning, or like you're new to tanning, you will be alarmed. It's very dark. Like when you first apply it, it is dark. But like when you wash it off, it's just like this perfect bronzed color. Naturally, because it's much darker, it will seem streakier in the first application, but I promise you, like that's just the color guard, right? So when you initially see that streakiness, it's the color guard. It's what kind of shows you like where you've already applied to help you like not miss any spots. Another thing to note is these last so long. Like I think honestly, I just needed a touch up. Obviously your hands fade out, your face fades out, your feet fade out, just because you wear shoes, you wash your hands all the time, especially nowadays. We're always washing our hands. So you will need a touch up maybe every 2-3-4 days, depending. But the overall like body tan lasts me probably, I would say, minimum a week, and then like I can push it to a week and a half until I have to put a fresh new tan on. And the price point is pretty good compared to higher end tanners. It's not bad. I'll put the price on the screen here because I'm not really sure what it was, but I do know that it was free shipping to Canada. It maybe took like a week and a half to ship. I think these are like my new ride or dies. So yeah, speaking of touch-ups, like I said, I do like to touch up with the dark when I need kind of like a little spruce up after a few days. But another really good one that I love, especially when I'm like on the go and I want like an extra glow, but I don't want to wait 6 hours and I don't want to have to wash it off. I use the Jergens Natural Glow Instant Sun in Ultra Deep Bronze. This you can get at any drugstore pharmacy, and it is like something like $10. You can also get it off Amazon. I'll link it below. And it's just a nice topper. It has like more of like a red orange tone to it. And the good thing about this is that it dries in 60 seconds. So it is meant to just be worn like on the go. Now for the actual tanning part. This is pretty straightforward. This is kind of like ironically the simplest part of tanning is tanning itself. Obviously you're going to need a mitt. I got this off Amazon. I switch it maybe like every 2-3 months because they do kind of like, they're reusable, but you do want to switch them up because they get really like gross and overused. So it's just good to switch it up. They're like $5-10 on Amazon. You don't need to get them from like an actual brand. You can get them literally anywhere. But Amazon has really cheap ones. So this is the one I use, very generic. However, if you do not want to get a tanning mitt, you can also use plastic like disposable gloves. It's like using your hands with foundation over using a beauty blender. A lot of people say that the application of a beauty blender is really nice. However, you lose a lot of that product. But with your hands, it might be a little bit streakier in the beginning, but you don't lose any product. That's how I see it. The plastic gloves, you get all of the product, right? Because it's not soaking anything up. I don't suggest it if you're a beginner because it's hard to get all those spots. It's hard to have like it not be streaky if you're not experienced. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's just harder. So if you're a beginner, I would suggest the tanning mitt just because it's easier to get an overall smooth and not patchy application. So yeah, those are your two options. By no means are you gonna use your hands. I don't know, I think that's like a given, but like, just in case, do not use your hands because you're gonna end up with orange palms and no. No girl, we're not doing it. We're not. We don't want orange palms, okay? For my overall body, I'm using the mitt, right? So for my arms, my chest, my stomach, my legs, everything, I'm using my mitt. The only places that I am not doing with the mitt is my face, my hands, and my feet. You could do it with the mitt. It's obviously like really not a big deal if you do it with the mitt. By all means, go. If you just feel like getting it done really quick, that's what I did for the longest time. Now I have found that using a makeup brush for my hands, my face, and my feet is the best method. So this is the makeup brush that I use. It's a super standard. I also got this off Amazon because I didn't want like a super expensive one for like my tanning, just because I'm not actually using it for makeup, obviously. I'm gonna link all of these things down below if I can find them. So like if you just want to get the same ones that I have, it doesn't really matter which one you choose, as long as it's just like any type of foundation brush will work just fine, like a stippling brush. So what I do is I take the brush and I'm just using kind of like upward motion, circular movements to apply the tan, and I'm just kind of blending it like I would with makeup with the rest of the tan that I've applied on my arms. So I really want that to match. You don't want it to be like a harsh line, so make sure that you're really like going in there and making sure that it's a smooth transition from your hand to your arm, right? For the feet, you're just gonna go around the ankles, work your way down. As for my face, there are times that I will use the actual tanner on my face. If I do, I use it very, very sparingly, and I like make sure to really moisturize my face. I do my full skincare because on your face, like once again, it's a really dry area. You wash it very often. I don't mind using the tanner on my face with a makeup brush from time to time, especially when I'm really dark and it's the summer and I have like a already tanned base. Just in general, I have been not loving. I've been liking the Isle of Paradise Dark Self Tanning Drops. The only reason why I say I like them and I don't love them, it's a love-hate relationship. I think not because of the actual tanner, just because of the nature of tanning drops for the face. Okay, number one, I hate the smell of this. I don't know how to describe it. It just smells like a really, really cheap coconut vanilla body spray, you know, like that's what it's just too much. And the way that I apply it is I will put a glob of my moisturizer in my hand and then put maybe 2 to 3 drops. I'll rub it and then just apply the moisturizer with the tanning drops to my face at the same time. And that gives me a really nice color. Anything more, it's too much. Like anything more, at least for me, it's just too much. So I like 2 to 3 drops. Good to go. But overall, as a product, I do like the color, so I'm gonna continue using them. I don't mind them, but I don't love them. You know, like if they just came with no scent and like there was a way to not get it on my hands, then I would love it. You know what I mean? Okay, so once you've applied it, you want to keep it on for at least 6 hours, right? To get the most out of the tan. I like to sleep with it. I do have white sheets though, as you can see. So what I do to avoid getting it on my clothing and getting it on my sheets is, number one, if you can, I know it's kind of annoying to sleep with clothes because I usually prefer not to sleep with clothes, but when I do have my tan, I'll wear like a really lightweight dark t-shirt and a really lightweight pair of pants, like PJ pants, really like linen-y. I'll put a towel under me as I sleep, especially like on my arms and my face, like my pillow area, because that's where like it transfers the most. But if you're sleeping on it, there is a chance you will get it on your sheets. So if you'd rather that, then just tan in the morning. And now, for maintaining your tan. So this is often the part that people get wrong, in my opinion, and the part that is a huge turnoff for a lot of people in terms of self-tanning is that when you're wearing it, like people are like, well, how do you, like when it fades, like what do you do? Like it starts getting patchy and like what do you do at that point? Well, if you maintain it properly, then you can actually have your tan fade out in a way that is subtle, that is like not patchy, not annoying, but you have to do it right? So when you go back into the shower and remove your tan, ideally you don't want to use any soap. You just want to kind of rinse it off, right? So what I do, because I don't really like going in the shower and not washing, I go in the shower, I rinse off everything, no loofah, no scrubbing, nothing. Just kind of like rinsing it off with water, but I will use soap like under my arms and like the areas that need to be washed. Like about that bar soap that I used before applying my tan, I don't use that on my body when I'm maintaining my tan. When I'm maintaining my tan, I will use a moisturizing body wash, because this is the point where you want all the moisture, right? Before your tan, you want none of the moisture, no moisture, dry as fuck, you know? But when you're maintaining, you want it to be soaking in and maintaining as much as possible. So the more moisturized you are, the longer your tan will last, the better the fade out will be, okay? Once you're out of the shower, you really want to moisturize. Just lather yourself up, girl. Like, lather it up, okay? You want this first layer to really be locked in. So think of your lotion as like the sealant of your masterpiece, you know? One lotion that I wanted to show you guys as well, if I ever feel like my tan is slowly fading, I will use the Jergens Natural Glow Nourish Daily Moisturizer in the shade like medium to tan. It's basically like a gradual tanner. So it is a moisturizer, it is a lotion, but over like a few days, you'll see it kind of slowly giving you a tan. Similarly to the tanning drops, you must wash your hands after using it, right? Because it will cling on to your dry palms, right? Your palms are dry, anything will cling on to them that you put on it. So make sure that you wash your hands after using this as well. Okay, so now that you've maintained your tan, it's been a week and a half and you want to just remove it, I like to layer my tans maybe 2 to 3 times in a row. By layering, I mean after a week where I see that my tan is really fading, I'll kind of scrub my hands, again, those joints, anywhere that I see it's fading more, I'll scrub. And I will apply a whole layer of tan on top of the tan that I have. I won't start from scratch. I'll still have like remnants of my last layer, but I will add on to it. And that I'll do maybe 2 to 3 times in a row. After 2 to 3 times, you'll see that it really will start to get patchy and you'll want to start from scratch. There are tanning erasers. Every like tanning company has it. So like Bali Body has one. I think Bondi Sands has one, Loving Tan. They all have like, it's like a mousse or something, and you scrub it and it basically removes all tan, which I actually should get and I'm actually interested in getting, but I've never really gotten around to it. I don't really think it's that necessary, but it would be like convenient to have. But I have found that after 3 applications in a row over the span of 2-3 weeks, it gets pretty easy to remove the tan. And I'll just kind of do that until I feel like most of my tan is off. You might have little remnants, and that is just the nature of self-tanning. You'll always have a tiny bit, especially if you do it on a regular basis like I do, but that I promise you no one else will really notice. So yeah, I do that and then I start from scratch and then we start all over again. So that is the cycle of my tanning. I know it's a lot, but these are just like tricks that I have learned over the years through experience. I've had a lot of mishaps with tanning, so I know my stuff. I feel like I'm like a pro at self-tanning at this point. I mean, you don't have to do all of these steps, especially if you're starting out, but if you want that like perfect application, then that is what I have found works for me. It's nice to just like test out different products yourself to just see what looks better, but I hope that this helps. Tanning isn't so scary. Like, it's not as scary as people think it is. It is a production, but once you get used to it and once you do it for as long as I have, it's like clockwork. Like it goes really fast. I hope you liked this kind of video. I know it was long, but I just thought I would go like all in, super in depth, give you everything I got, and I'll just leave it here for you. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!